Welcome to the Configure Price Quote podcast. My name is Frank Sohn and I'm the founder of Zoho CPQ Consulting. This podcast is 100% focused on Configure Price Quote, also known as CPQ, and will provide you useful insights into this topic. My guest today is Marc de Mey, the Managing Director of Sell It Easy and Director of CPQ Belgium, which both belong to the Merkato Group. Marc is based in Belgium and has spent many years working hands-on with CPQ Solutions. He founded Sell It Easy in 2022 and he founded CPQ Belgium in 2024. Marc, welcome to the CPQ podcast.
Hi, Frank. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to have an informative talk with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Was looking forward to have you as a guest on the podcast. And let's start by telling me a little bit more about yourself and what you did before you started the Merkato Group.
Yeah, well, I started off my career as an engineer in aircraft mechanics, but I rather quickly evolved into managing technology projects rather than being the technology expert myself, which after a number of years led me to setting up companies and supporting scaling rather technology companies that wanted to grow internationally. So that's what I was doing before.
Excellent. Then tell me a little bit more on how you started the Merkato Group. What was the logic behind it? And you have a couple of companies that belong to it. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so actually it's not myself who started the Merkato Group, but I joined it. It's been 8 years ago now that I was working with two companies that both were looking very different use cases, but both were looking for ways to facilitate the sales of rather complex technological products. And it was then that I set off on a search to see how can I help these companies, what kind of applications exists to support them. And that's the way that I came across CPQ, and I entered into the CPQ game. Now, you know how these things go. First, you start off with some desk research. Then there's all kinds of interviews and meetings that you do with CPQ providers. Out of this, then came a lot of TCO calculations. I even paid a number of companies for some pilot projects. And I ended up selecting the Merkato CPQ toolbox at that point in time, offered by a Dutch company called Quootz. And it is out of this collaboration, first as a client, that afterwards they started asking me, hey, Marc, but based on your experience with internationalization and helping companies to grow internationally, could you also help us to grow internationally? And so that's then when I started off with Sell It Easy and CPQ Belgium here in Belgium.
Very cool, very cool. And yeah, the relationship with Bas, right? So I've been talking to him for years. Tell me a little bit more about that. How did that get started? How did that really help for the whole Merkato Group?
Well, it is indeed Bas who started the Merkato Group together with Christian de Klooster, who is still the CTO of the Merkato Group. And it's now a little bit over 20 years ago that they coined the idea for a new application. They were both working in the engineering domains, where they found that working with companies that had a lot of engineering to order projects, that it was much easier to go into configurable projects. And then they were looking for solutions themselves as well. Didn't find any that was easy to implement and that easy to for clients to maintain themselves. And so that's when then they decided, okay, let's build a solution ourselves. And so first 10 years they've been working on this diligently. And then they set up Quootz, which was the first sales partner in the Netherlands to start selling the product that they developed. And it is then in a later stage, must have been 2015, that they started the Merkato Group. It's rather a holding company above Quootz and a series of other companies, still responsible for the development of the product, the continuous improvement of the product, the hosting of the product as such, but inviting other companies, other partners to use the Merkato CPQ toolbox and to sell it in the markets that they want to in the way that they want to. And so that's the way that now the Mercato group is growing organically.
Excellent, very interesting. So, but now I wanted to ask you one thing that we also discussed in preparation for this meeting, right? So you emphasized the fun of doing business, right? So you don't hear that many leaders talking about the fun of doing business. So I was wondering, what does it mean to you personally, and how do you keep that sense of fun alive when challenges pile up?
Well, you know, when selling a CPQ solution, actually what you're doing is you're solving a company that is facing a particular challenge. As you're solving problems, and so there's nothing more fun than helping people in solving an issue as such. And as you're developing collaborations on the longer term, well, you want it to be fun as from the beginning as well. So yes, you're doing a professional job, but hey, you're developing a relationship on the longer term, so you better get along with your clients as well. And so the aim is to see, okay, how can we really do this with clients? And for me, this is predominantly done by always keeping the problem on the table and not taking things personally. Sometimes, indeed, there might be discussions, there might be a lot of challenges that you're facing at the same time. But by looking at things from a distance, you keep on looking at as something to solve, something to tackle, and not something that is related personally to myself. And by looking jointly at ways of, hey, how can we tackle this? How can we solve this issue? You keep things fun. That's the way that I look at it.
Okay. Then also, before we talk about the Mercato Group, tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you like to do when you don't work?
I'm an avid hiker, to be honest. Yeah, so either or at the end of the day's working, I might just put on my hiking shoes and go for a long walk in the weekends as well. And when I'm taking off the business for some longer periods of time, you will find me one of the paths throughout Europe with a backpack and just enjoying nature and exploring new places.
Excellent. Okay, good. Then let's talk about the Mercato Group, right? So we already mentioned the group a couple of times. The company is, give me an overview what it is and how it has evolved over time.
Yeah, so as I said, it was a two-person initiative over 20 years ago. In the meantime, it has evolved in a group that has, next to the Mercato Group in itself, has 5 additional companies that are using the Mercato CPQ toolbox to solve issues for their clients, and has evolved that way into a group consisting of some 25 experts. That's where we are right now.
Right. And I think the companies that are included in there is Quootz, so Bas's original company, I guess, right? So
yes,
CPQing Solutions, CPQ Belgium, and Sell It Easy, right? So tell me a little bit about each of these companies and what they really specialize in.
Yeah, so they all have their own way of tackling problems with clients. Like Quootz is the Dutch partner, predominantly focusing on Dutch manufacturing companies, also venturing into Germany since a while. They have an approach of being a little bit more hands-off. Where myself, due to my professional background, I tend to be a little bit more hands-on with clients. So we apply the same solution, but the way that we implement it at clients might be different. But in essence, we all use the Mercato CPQ toolbox. So we all have the same tools at our disposal. But the way that we tackle issues, the way that we tackle implementation projects at clients, they might differ.
Now, you also offer distinct platform variants, right? So I think that was the Mercato Max, Essentials, Legals, and Automotive. How do you decide which verticals you want to enter and what drives the creation of new variants? Do you have maybe an example of how a customer or a market demand led to a new variant?
Yeah, well, when looking at the difference between an Essentials and the Max, it's already a bit like the name suggests. There are, of course, companies that have indeed configurable products eventually and make-to-order products, but that not entice that much complexity. You have product complexity on the one hand, you got your sales complexity on the other hand. And so the solution that we bring to the market under Essentials is indeed a more basic package as such. When looking at Mercato Max, that's for companies that are really facing not only product complexity, but eventually project complexity, where you combine various configurable products and where, again, the project in itself has got some configuration work to be done that applies to all underlying configurable products. And they might at the same time face a lot of complexity in their dealer channels as well. And so that is then what Mercato Max is catering for. That's the fully fledged solution. When it comes to the verticals, like the automotive, what you require there in order to eventually start one is, of course, market knowledge. We are the CPQ experts. And then when you combine that CPQ expertise with in-depth market expertise, then you can say, okay, now let's develop a specific solution for that market. As an example of this would, for example, be Van Select. Van Select is a German initiative where you actually have a configurator of configurators. Van Select, as the name already implies, is a tool that allows you to select your van. Your van, of course, is composed of a chassis, it's composed of a trailer, a build-up on it, and it's composed of various configurable parts, components. And then again, you have a financial solution because this van, you want eventually to lease it or to buy it. And that again is a configuration in itself. And so what we're doing over there is we combine the configurator of various brands of chassis providers. We combine the configurators of various trailer builders, financial institutions, and that all goes together into one single package. Where as a client, you don't mind who is going to be the trailer builder, who is going to be the company exactly providing the chassis to you. You're buying a solution from Van Select. And for this, of course, we needed in-depth market expertise that was brought on by an external partner. That would be required as well for other verticals.
Got it. Interesting. And how do you balance a fast innovation with maintaining consistency and quality across all the variants?
Well, the basic part, the core of whatever that we are offering remains, of course, Merkato CPQ Toolbox. And that is the continuous development of the Merkato CPQ Toolbox is done by the Mercato Group. So we, as an external company, we're eventually topping it up with additional developments on top of that. But by bringing requests from the market to the Mercato Group, we continue to grow as well that solution. So the Mercato CPQ solution continues to grow as such. And we are only topping up what the Mercato Group says, but this sounds interesting, but we can't make it into a generic solution for all CPQ users. So you take care of that in your vertical then.
Then let's talk about one of these variants, right? So the Mercato Essentials, for example. So that's delivered through also the companies that you lead, the CPQ Belgium and Sell It Easy, right? And I think Quootz and CPQing Solutions as well. How do you structure those partnerships to ensure that you have the same quality, consistency, and market reach?
From the outside, we all look at as separate companies, and in essence, of course, we are. But we look at it on the inside. We act as if we are a single company. We're all in the same WhatsApp group. We have our daily exchanges in there. If we have a question, and we say, let's ask the colleagues, and the group is also called the colleagues. And then actually we're asking the colleagues of all the other companies that are doing the same. And so that we do. And then next to this, of course, we have the more formal exchanges where we meet a couple of times per year. Could be focusing on the Mercato CPQ solution, could be focusing a meeting on a particular challenge in a particular market segment. And sometimes, of course, we just meet for fun. But also, even more importantly, we share resources. If I decide to recruit additional employees, then I recruit them, of course, in first instance from my companies. But if another company in the group wants to use one of my experts to implement a solution at one of their clients, then they can do that as well. So that way we act as a company while we're all different companies, but getting along very well.
Quick break from today's episode. If you're looking into CPQ solutions, I've got 3 resources you don't want to miss. First, the CPQ briefing subscription. Think of it as your shortcut at the very start of the buying process. Instead of spending weeks hunting for vendor information or sitting through endless demos, you get access to briefing documents that explain what each CPQ solution does, how it's positioned, and what to watch out for. It's like speed dating CPQ vendors without the awkward small talk. Now, once you're in the middle of your CPQ journey and you need help narrowing things down, that's where Novo CPQ Consulting comes in. We work one-on-one with you, completely independent and neutral, to figure out the best fit for your business. We don't sell software. We don't take sides. We just help you make the smartest choice. And finally, when you're late in the buying process and you need to make a real decision, there's the CPQ sales report. This is a deep dive 20+ page report that compares vendors in detail and can save you 1 or 2 weeks in your selection process. No fluff, no vendor bias, just facts you can rely on. So whether you're just starting out, stuck in the middle, or ready to make a final call, Novo CPQ has you covered. Now let's talk a little bit about the capabilities, right? So product configurator, pricing, and quoting. What are the key capabilities of your solution?
Yeah, well, I guess the predominant distinction with a number of other tools is indeed the fact that what we are offering is a no to low code tool, where, as I already mentioned, there are a number of companies in the group where still only 25 staff able to support hundreds of clients, of users of the Merkato CPQ toolbox. And this we do by bringing a very user-friendly tool and by building CPQ expertise at our client companies. And so there is a lot of Merkato experts in the world, but they're not on our payroll. They're on the payroll of our clients as such. And by doing this, we distinguish ourselves from many other solutions where you need programming skills in order to be able to use them, or where you need extensive consulting support as well to do so. And we, in many occasions, we can just afford to train a client and then to bring a punctual support there where he needs it. And this distinguishes our solution from many of the others.
And let me ask a question. So, because especially these days, everyone is claiming they have a low-code, no-code solution, right? So that seems to be across the board. How is yours different? How is your low-code better than someone else's low-code, no-code?
I never want to say something negative about another solution, of course. That's got to be clear. But what I find is that when you're able to give a training to somebody and even already in the second day of training, people start building their own configurators, then I think that you've reached a point where customers look at the solution, they immediately grasp the idea behind it, and they can start using it themselves. So the speed with which clients implement our solution is always surprising to me. And that's also the feedback that we get from clients saying that this is really easy. This we've never come across when looking at other solutions. And so, yeah, that's the distinctive mark that clearly that we make these days.
Then let's talk about your customer, your ideal customer, right? So in regards to industry size and geography, what can you tell me about that?
Yeah, when it comes to geography, of course, I guess that the decision center, what we in more than 90% of the cases, what we see is that decision center is close to us. Close to us still means that when it comes to important decisions, that clients, yes, they want to have a lot of online meetings, but still being able to go there even if it is once in a while or for the decisive meeting, is very important. So that's still something that we see. This being said, recently we concluded an implementation in New Zealand, which is about the farthest that we can go from this region as such. But then again, this was a subsidiary of a multinational that already knows our solution, which of course impacts the way that decisions have been made over there. But in essence, what we are still looking for are manufacturers, OEMs to start off with, of course, then manufacturing companies, distributors, and EPC, engineering, procurement, contracting companies. That are still the companies that we're looking for. Sweet spot, although that indeed we got some multinationals like a Hunter Douglas and an Assa Abloy, etc., using our solution, but still the sweet spot seems to be with companies somewhere between 50 and 1,000 employees. That is our market, I guess. Yeah.
Got it. Then tell me a little bit more about your solution architecture, right? So I have an idea, is it headless, is it API first? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, also as you mentioned, that a number of companies are touting similar things. API first is also one of the big things these days, but indeed that is the way that Merkato has been conceived as well. So, as the group is only developing a CPQ solution, it means that as from the start off, you have to be able to integrate with other solutions. So integration is also a core activity of what we are doing. Well, a lot of companies, they're using Merkato as a solution next to an existing CRM or ERP application, integrating in a way. And that can be using a REST API, that can be using a dedicated integration using our libraries. But it can also be that we just embed our solution into theirs, so that users don't even know that they're using Merkato. So as an example, we have Salesforce, where also they have a CPQ feature, but of course more limited than what we are offering. So we have Salesforce users that are using Merkato without the user even knowing that they're doing that. So just a window that pops open, and the integration is done completely in the background. And if then you want to go a step further, where you say, no, the image that we want to have is such that we don't even want to see any user interface, any dedicated Merkato user interface, then you can use it as a complete headless application as well. So there as well, we have examples of companies that are using it that way. And so integration is a bit the name of the game. We believe in best of breed solution where you select the applications for what they're best capable of. And by doing this means that, we're integrating all the time with various kind of parties. That's logical.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit more about that, right? So let's start with CRM and ERP. You already mentioned Salesforce. You also integrate with Dynamics and other CRM tools. Yep. Well, and tell me which ones, also the ERPs, the most popular ones, I would expect you probably integrate also with SAP, I guess, right?
Exactly. We integrate also with SAP. There's Mergo, there is Epicor, there is Infor, ACT, ISA, Reader, you name them. These days in Europe, Odoo is becoming a very popular one as well. So we got Odoo, we got I already mentioned Salesforce. There's Zoho, of course, and so there's the list is very long, very long.
Got it. But let's talk at least about a couple of other ones which are probably important for manufacturers, right? So, and that is the CAD integrations, PLM, and potentially e-commerce integrations. Is there anything that you want to mention here that you integrate with?
Yeah, well, there's of course in manufacturing, what we predominantly are asked to ensure is that we're able to integrate with their CAD applications, the ability when a deal has been closed to generate production drawings, etc. So that's a request that pops up quite often, whether it be with Creo, SolidWorks, Solid Edge, whatever. They're all parametric solutions that are rather easy to integrate with. We find then e-commerce applications. We find that we have not so numerous requests so far. There is a Propeller in the Netherlands that we integrate with. But most of these applications, they're a bit younger, meaning that their architecture is more open. So if tomorrow we have a request that won't be that difficult to dive into it. And next to this, of course, there's the more generic applications that one can use, like a Zapier. And like if an application is already connected to that one, then okay, well, why not connect via Zapier? Then we can do that as well.
Excellent, got it. Now I want to ask you something that's very important for everyone for the last 2.5 years, and that's AI, right? So what do you do in your solution regarding AI?
Yeah, there's no way to go around it. It wouldn't be sound anyhow to go around it either. It's again, it's a new toolbox that's going to bring us additional benefits to our customers as well. Just imagine you're using a CPQ solution, and now for a number of years. You can imagine the wealth of information that's contained within your CPQ solution. There's all the offerings that you did. There's information on the offerings that never got through, the offerings that you want, the geographical area where particular offerings always go through and others never go through, etc. So there's a lot of information contained within your application that is more easy, of course, to interrogate using now the modern AI tools. So, of course, this is a question that we deem important of tackling as well, using the new tools that come available. And then there is the possibility, of course, to use AI to just run configurations, and to run configurations, many different configurations in a very short time span. And eventually, while running those configurations, to go and look for particular information within, and saying, okay, but when you have these kind of configurations, then what are the combinations or what are the variants that I might come across? And so we see it as being an additional tool to interrogate much more easily the large set of information contained within your application. And then, of course, as well, if you would say, I've got a very broad portfolio, I might have thousands of products in my CPQ application that I can combine. And then what is the easiest way to go and look for the default price of article X? Just ask your assistant, of course. That's going to be AI.
Yeah. Excellent. Very good. So now my last question is to make it really clear for all our listeners also, what are the 3 top requirements that you hear from your customers? What helps you really sell the solutions to your customers?
Yeah, we still find many customers are just struggling with complexity. They have a lot of expertise, they got a lot of knowledge about their products, but they find it difficult to bring that knowledge to their salespeople, to their dealers, and to their customers. And this is still the primary, let's say, the reason for being for a CPQ application. So that still is clearly the first question, or the most important question that we hear from clients as such. Then what becomes important as well, and certainly in a best of breed approach, is the single truth of the single source of truth, rather, as a matter of speaking, where how to avoid double entry of data, how to ensure that when you have a configuration, you have a sales proposal, that the sales proposal is connected to all the right dots in my CRM application, but not only the PDF document that you're generating, but also all the data in there. How can I use data on products that are being offered, not only sold and not yet sold, to already use them for eventually supply chain forecasting? And so making sure that by going through a configuration that you make sure that all the data is immediately available at the right spot. That's an important one. And then thirdly, what we see is the very complex visualizations that clients are asking for, where it's not only, can you visualize me what I'm configuring over here, but also to give an example of Boplan, a Belgian company that's selling safety barriers throughout the world, where up to now they were condemned, I would rather say, to say, okay, let's draw a sketch of a situation at the client's premises. Let's get this back to headquarters, where somebody will then start drawing in CAD, asking, is this what you mean? No, I meant the other barrier. And the gate has got to be a little bit more to the left, where first you have to agree on a design, and then you have to start calculating the design. And where now, thanks to the tool that we're providing them with, they just design a custom application. They draw it just completely free on the screen, and immediately they get the right pricing for that customer in that location. And that, of course, are possibilities thanks to the combination of advanced visualization and drawing skills and the advanced CPQ capabilities of Merkato that now we bring to the market, and are more very high in demand as well.
Very interesting. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end of this episode. Hence, my very last question is, what's a good way for interested listeners to contact you in case they have any follow-up questions for you or your team?
If you want to contact me directly, then LinkedIn remains a very good platform, of course. That's the tool that I always have in the back of my pocket, I would say, even when I'm hiking, I have to admit. And of course, other ways to get in touch with us, please go and visit the websites. Look for the information that you find there as well, and just contact us. There are easy ways using forms to ask your questions, or even ways to immediately schedule a meeting right into in our agenda. And so that would then be the websites of Sell It Easy, selliteasy.tech, and CPQ Belgium, which will be cpqbelgium.com. And don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Excellent. We will have all this information in the show notes. As always, Marc, thank you very much for making time for the CPQ podcast today.
Okay, thank you very much, Frank. Hope to see you right away.
I'd like to thank everyone for listening and hope you learned something interesting today. If you like the podcast, please go ahead and rate it on iTunes or share it with your friends and colleagues. In the meantime, you can find us online at www.novocpq.com. So long, everyone.